The cow looked like a fucking cow being tossed around the twisters.
No, and it did. Was it the greatest and most seamless effect I've ever seen? No. Was it good for 1996? It was fantastic for 1996. Was it good for 2024? Yeah, it's still good for 2024.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad.
This was still funny, and my kids loved it.
Of course.
And I'm looking at it like, stupid cow.
Lights, camera, and action. Welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. Remember those childhood movies you loved? We're going to watch them again and find out if they're still as amazing as you remember. Let's get ready to join Anna and Jimmy as they go back and watch those movies you remember being oh so awesomely good. Horror movies that scared. Comedy movies that dared.
Damn!
And action movies so preposterously ludicrous that they defied the laws of common sense. Now, here's your hosts, Anna Santos and Jimmy Coates.
Welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. We are back in the 90s, and we are at 1996, and we are going to watch Twister. Just so everyone knows, we talked about this before. The 70s were really big on disaster movies, and in 1996, Twister came out, and I'm guessing made quite a bit of money, and then everyone was like, gotta make those disaster movies, and a bunch followed. What do you remember about Twister?
I remember being incredibly frustrated with Helen Hunt's character because she got on my goddamn nerves. But I remember liking this movie. I thought it was funny. I thought it was very touching. I also was like, these people are crazy. But I remember it kind of made me afraid of tornadoes. So that's a good thing.
You weren't afraid before?
Well, no, because I live in Ontario. I live in Southern Ontario. We only started having tornadoes like 10 years ago. So when this movie came out, we were like, tornadoes? That doesn't happen here. And then I was like, oh God, I never want to go anywhere a tornado actually is. It's just going to pick me up and throw me across the world. I'm like, I don't want to do that. But yeah, I remember really liking this movie and really thinking it was not only entertaining, but it was kind of funny and it was kind of emotional and it was almost like a rom-com, but like a disaster rom-com. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember liking it. I remember going to a theater and actually watching this with a bunch of friends. And like Bill Paxton, who was awesome. Helen Hunt. Yeah, I think I remember what you're saying. Her character being a little. And then you got Philip Seymour Hoffman. You have Cary Elwes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's another girl that's in there.
Jamie
Gertz, yes.
She was one of my favorites.
Yeah. Oh, tons of 80s movies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, but even in this movie.
Oh, yeah. She was good in this movie, too.
Amazing.
Actually, I remember her in Friends. Wasn't she the one that stole the toilet paper? Or wouldn't share the toilet paper?
Yes.
Oh, was that Friends or Seinfeld?
No, I think that's Seinfeld.
Yeah, I think that's Seinfeld. Yeah. Anyways, and I remember the effects being really, especially going to see in theaters. I think I owned this at one time and then I lost it. The effects were amazing, especially in 1996. There was nothing like this.
Yeah, no, I remember it being great.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember liking this a lot. All right, so let's take a look at the box office from 1996. It had a budget of $92 million.
Jeez.
And a domestic total of $241.8 million and an international total of $252.7 million for a total of $494.5 million in 1996. That is a lot of money. Again, we've said this to other movies. Today, that's good.
Today, that's great. Like, this is nuts.
92 million for a movie today is pretty much the going rate, like 100 million, 80 million. Yeah. And if you can get back 500 million, You're doing pretty good.
You're doing okay.
And this, I'm sure, would have made a ton in video rentals and
Oh, 100%.
TV spots. Yeah. So they were very happy. Of note, Twister opened at number 1 for 2 weekends in a row and then dropped to second place to Mission Impossible and stayed in second place for 3 weekends in a row until dropping to third place when The Rock was released. 2 great movies.
Oh, yeah.
It stayed in theaters for 236 days until bowing out as the second highest grossing movie in 1996, behind only Independence Day. So 2 disaster movies, one a Twister and the other a bunch of aliens. Yeah, I love that one too.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. All right. So let's go to the tail of the tape. It was released on May 10th, 1996. It is an action adventure, PG-13, and comes in at a hefty 1 hour and 54 minutes. I don't remember feeling long.
I don't remember it feeling long either.
Which
is
of
interesting.
Yeah. And there's our VHS copy. I don't know if you can tell, that is a special widescreen edition that everyone in my family hated because of the bars on the TV. We didn't have widescreen TVs in the 90s.
Oh, God, no.
No. So you had
Then it always ended up smaller.
Yeah, smaller because there were bars on it and everyone's like, oh, stupid. I used to love it because because I was told you got to see the entire movie.
Yeah.
They chopped off the sides, but no, everyone's like, that's dumb. All right. Taglines. The dark side of nature.
I mean, valid.
Go for a ride you'll never forget.
Perfect.
The beautiful yet destructive side to life.
That's a little too deep and meaningful for this.
Yeah. Don't breathe. Don't look back. That's it. The first 2 were pretty good.
Yeah. The last one, I would pick it for a horror movie.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pick it for tornadoes.
No. Synopsis. During the approach of the most powerful storm in decades, university professor Dr. Joe Harding, Helen Hunt, and underfunded team of students prepare the prototype for Dorothy, a groundbreaking tornado data I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Data gathering device conceived by her estranged husband, Bill Paxton. When Harding tells Bill that Dorothy's ready for testing and that their privately funded rival, Dr. Jonas Miller, Cary Elwes, has stolen the idea and built his own, Bill rejoins the team for one last mission. Yeah, there's a lot of story in this, kind of.
Yeah.
That gets in the way of the tornadoes, but
yeah, it's I think this is one of those disaster movies where it's actually about the people and not the disaster.
Yeah.
Which I can kind of appreciate, but these are people who also just love the disaster. So I'm like, yes, let's do this.
And here is the poster. There were 2 of them, and I don't remember which one. I think the one on our left was the actual.
I think so too.
Yeah, and just for everyone, it's Twister. It's in red, and it's got black clouds, and then the funnel coming down, destroying a farm, and you see Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt running off in the corner. That's a great poster.
Yeah.
The poster would have sold me. Like, I didn't even need to see Twister destroying something and people running for their lives. Sweet. And there's another one. So let us go to Rotten Tomatoes. 71 critic reviews, comes in at 63%.
Oh.
250,000 audience reviews, comes in at 58%.
I thought it would have been higher.
I thought it would have been higher too. A high critic consensus, a high concept blockbuster that emphasizes special effects over 3-dimensional characters. Twister's visceral thrills are often offset by the film's generic plot.
Interesting.
All right, well, let's start with Fresh, and you may begin.
This is a little long and ridiculous, but it's also just a tour de force roller coaster theme park attraction, which is ironic because the actual theme park attraction for this sucked. Corey Woodruff, 615 film, original score not available.
How are you going to make a tornado theme park, like a Twister theme park ride?
I don't know.
Just a bunch of fans blowing at people. Yeah. Isn't this fun? Just a big industrial fan pointed at you. As sold in the original trailers all those years ago, this is not about the actors. This is about the special effects, industrial light and magic living up to their name and creating a real monster out of whirling winds. James Crute, stuff.co.nz. Original score 3.5 out of 5. Yes, that's what I'm looking for. Again, I don't care about the story. I just want the special effects.
Twister captured enough of the respectable fear and terror associated with its windy deliverer of disaster. The movie speaks of instincts and rattles your own. Don Shanahan, 25 years later, original score 5 out of 5. Damn, Don, you really like that.
The storms are breathtaking, the action pulse quickening, and the two leads smart and likable. And Hornaday, Austin American Statesman, original score 3 out of 5.
No one's going to buy into the romantic bickering between the lead scientists or their rivalry team of evil meteorologists. Still, if you're hooked on high voltage special effects, Twister will give you a charge. Bob Fenster, Arizona Republic, original score 3 out of 5. Evil meteorologist.
Don't worry about the labored storyline or the lack of chemistry between Paxton and Hunt. Just sit back and gape at the wonder special effects that allow cars, houses, and even the odd farm animal to be sent spiraling through the air. John Ferguson, Radio Times, original score 3 out of 4.
As far as mindless movie destruction on a large scale goes, Twister is a gusty triumph of special effects over substance. Lee Patch, Harold Sun, Australia, original score 3 out of 5.
They even get tornadoes in Australia?
I don't know.
Poor fucking koala bears and kangaroos just flying everywhere. That'd be scary. While the special effects are clearly the star of this masterwork, the storyline itself, although predictable, is crisp and full of heart. Dwayne Burge, Hollywood Reporter, original score not available.
Extreme weather buffs, thrill ride junkies, and anyone else in search of mindless entertainment need look no further. TV Guide, original score 3 out of 4.
The plot is thin and the characters are shallow, but who cares? The picture and sound are knockouts. John J. Puccio, Movie Metropolis, original score 7 out of 10.
Wow. Enjoy every cow flying, tractor crashing frame. Steve Crum, Kansas City, Kansan, original score A-.
I like Twister. I really like it. Okay, I love it. Marianne Jonathan, Flick Philosopher, original score 9 out of 10.
Hunt and Paxton play off each other well. We don't learn a whole lot about their characters, but it's impossible to not cheer for them anyway. Brian Webster, Apollo Guide, original score 77 out of 100.
77, that's a weird.
Yeah.
In a word, wow. Mark Savlov, Austin Chronicle, original score 4 out of 5. All right.
Also, just to note, Australia does experience tornadoes. They get 30 to 80 tornadoes each year.
Wow.
According to the Allen Research Group.
Kangaroos and great white sharks everywhere. You make a really cool Sharknado type movie. Rotten, you may go first.
Holds up against the noisy, busy, idiotically scripted movies of today for all sorts of reasons, but that does not excuse it from being a noisy, busy, idiotically scripted movie in its own right. Tim Burton, Antagony and Ecstasy, original score 5 out of 10.
It speaks to the current dearth of imagination that we have gone from Oz to Twister, from the storm as dramatic catalyst to the storm as the story itself. Rita Kempley, Washington Post, original score not available.
You know, a movie is in trouble when a cow provides its only moment of authentic human interest. Richard Schickel, Time Magazine, original score not available.
Surely the only movie to ever suggest a dumbed down His Girl Friday, Roadrunner cartoon, and The Abyss simultaneously. Bill Chambers, Film Freak Central, original score 1.5 out of 4.
Damn, Bill. Effects apart, this is dire. Predictable, cliched, sloppily written, pitifully performed, and surprisingly short of real shocks and suspense. Jeff Andrew, Time Out, original score not available.
Wow.
Jeff, you're a hater.
Yeah. And he hated it so much he went and got his fucking thesaurus. Ugh. Not even a passable popcorn pick, I'm afraid. Joe Blow's Movie Network, original score, 5 out of 10.
Thanks, Joe Blow. About as much fun as watching a weather report. Dennis Schwartz movie reviews, original score, C.
What?
Fuck you, Dennis.
What weather report are you on? How shitty is the weather in your town?
That's true. I mean, there are some really great weather reporters out there. There's one that likes to incorporate rap lyrics into his weather report. It's pretty funny, actually.
An excellent example of what the Hollywood effects blockbuster has become. All show and very little substance. Robin Clifford, Reeling Reviews, original score, C+.
So bitter. Whatever one might think of the increasing mindlessness of effects-driven blockbusters, you'd think they could at least manage to entertain or give you a reason to come back when you get up to go to the restroom. Scott Renshaw, rec.arts.movies.reviews, original score, 3 out of 10.
That'd be funny. I'm just going to go to the bathroom and then keep going to the parking lot. Go home. The movie is wall-to-wall with special effects, and they're all convincing, although it's impossible for me to explain how Bill and Joe escape serious injury while staring right up into the suck zone of the finger of God. Roger Ebert, Chicago Sun-Times, original score, 2.5 out of 4. I forgot when they're in the middle, that's the suck zone.
It's okay, Roger. You're not supposed to understand that. You can't explain it.
No.
It's a miracle.
All right. IMDb, the voice of reason. 217,000 user ratings, comes at 6.5 out of 10. Kind of along the lines of Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
All right. You may start. Oh, we'll take turns.
Best storm movie ever. GB Vegeta 06910.
Say what you will, but this movie rocks. Platypus Girl 1?
Yep. Platypus Girl. Simply Spectacular. Catnip.
Just a lot of fun. DVD King 2.
How could dislike this movie? There was a ride at Universal featuring this. T. Williamson and Company. T. Williamson and Company. God, why can't I read words?
All right. The Suck Zone, in a good way. 9 out of 10. Slark Shark.
Good one. One of the best disaster films ever. 8 out of 10. Connor Golden.
Just an all-around fun movie. 7 out of 10. Polonius 85.
Twister. Not just a party game. 6 out of 10. Tucker Keon.
Great action and special effects. Where's the script? 5 out of 10. JW Trucks 08706.
Have some puffs, but it didn't blow my house down. 4 out of 10. Benjamin Cox.
The stale popcorn in the theater was better. 3 out of 10. George Stickler.
Damn. I doubt if real tornado nerds are as unlikable as the ones in Twister. 2 out of 10. Dave W. 312.
Nerds. Never leaves the suck zone. 1 out of 10. Richard W. Hill. Will? Richard
I
Will?
think W. Hill.
W. Hill. Okay. Never leaves the suck zone.
Amazing.
All right. Well, we have looked at everything. Let's take a look at the trailer and then make a prediction.
There is a mystery. Elusive. Unpredictable. Violent. It terrifies most scientists. But for a new breed, the challenge is saving lives. The research is deadly. The laboratory is nature itself.
And potentially could be a storm that has a winds in excess. I assume the worst at this point.
Joe! Bill! It's coming! Everybody underground now! Joe, come on! He's underground! Take cover right now!
They didn't even try to show you a story in that.
No.
They were like, tornadoes,
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. Gonna wreck stuff up real good. Come on down and give us your money. What's your prediction?
I think I'm still gonna like it. Yeah. I think now that I'm older and a little less impressed by special effects, I think I'm probably gonna be like, God, this is really terrible. Because I don't remember it being that badly written. I don't remember I remember being annoyed with Helen Hunt, but I don't remember being like, oh God,
Yeah,
this
and
is
then
really
I
crappy.
agree. Yeah, the story, I remember it being fine, like, and the dialogue being fine. But I could, like you said, younger,
Yeah.
just waiting for those tornadoes to come, those twisters to get there.
Exactly. Because
Yeah,
I mean, also, I didn't walk in there being like, I'm looking for Shakespeare with tornadoes.
yeah,
I was like, I'm looking for tornadoes. Like
yeah.
that's about it. And a
Want
storyline that pushes me towards tornadoes.
yeah, I want to see a tornado, and I want to see it fucking shit up. That's all I
Yep,
want.
100%.
All right, well, we are going to go watch Twister from 1996, and when we come back, we are going to review it.
You heard them. Movie time. Let's all go to the lobby and get ourselves a treat, and then watch a classic kick-ass movie from whenever the one we're about to watch was made.
Wow, did you see me in the middle of a Twister?
I did. It was so. How did you survive?
I was
How
right
did
in
you
the suck
survive?
zone. Right in the suck zone. Actually, I've been married for a while now. I haven't been in the suck zone for a long time.
Oh Lord, your
I'm
wife
like,
is not gonna be happy you said that. Or she's
I
just
did.
gonna confirm it.
I promised my 6-year-old, because I was playing with the fan and the hair, and we were talking about
Yeah.
Twister. She said, "You're doing Twister. You should do that." And I'm like, "I don't want to do it." She's like, so I did it. And then I'm like, oh, it'd be cool if I had a aftermath Twister thing behind. And I didn't even notice the fucking truck in the in the house.
Oh God.
All right. For those listening, I introduced a YouTube live recording on the podcast while I was in the middle of a Twister. So yeah, special effects and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch 1996 Twister?
I did. I did watch it.
What was your initial thoughts?
I still like it, but there's way too much talking and not enough tornadoes.
Yeah, there's a bit more story in this one.
Yeah. It felt like the tornadoes were just kind of like background actors, which I was not expecting. I
Yeah,
don't remember it like that.
I did have fun watching this. It's still a fun disaster movie. The effects to me incredibly hold up very well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, makes me wonder the fuck Hollywood's been doing since 1996, because it still looks good.
No, it's the effects totally still work.
Yeah.
I still had fun watching it, but I was like,
I was getting antsy for the next one. Like, let's go. Stop talking.
Give me tornadoes.
Yeah,
like,
go chase a fucking tornado.
I didn't realize how much like rom-com was in the movie between the tornadoes.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah,
I remember there
was.
being more tornadoes. Apparently, I remember wrong. I mean, not a bad movie.
Yeah. No, and the writing wasn't as atrocious as some reviews made it out to be.
Yeah.
Like you said, I wasn't expecting Shakespeare with tornadoes. That's what you said, and I agree. Granted, this wasn't going to win any writing awards, but it was fine. And aside from a few things moving very non-Twister, like the drive-in scene, like the big sign was very forgivable. I mean, you had a dozen of people, you had a giant sign coming through the roof of the building. You want some kind of control. I get it. It moved a little slower, like a slow type manner, but the drive-in screen being ripped apart, that was odd. Like,
that was great.
The tornado stuff was great.
The tornado stuff was amazing, and it kind of made me a little sad that we didn't get more of that.
Yeah.
Because I was like, even with the story that was unfolding, you can throw in more tornadoes.
Yeah.
More chasing of the tornado. I'm like, I'm into that.
Yeah. Yeah. And because as long as there's destruction and cool effects causing said destruction. Yeah. That's all I wanted.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go over this movie. Now, first, the reviews are right. This is a real straightforward plot. Not a whole lot going on. Just
No.
there was a whole lot in front of your eyes, but it wasn't a very hard to follow. The main attraction here was the twisters and the shit that gets in its way and destroyed. And so, not a whole lot here from Wikipedia. On an Oklahoma farm in 1969, young Joe Harding, her parents, and their dog take shelter from an F5 tornado that destroys their farm and kills Joe's father as he tries to secure the cellar door. There is a ton of trivia for this movie, and I put a lot of it there because it's all great. It's just cool trivia. Like we usually do 10 or 15. Like there's over 40.
Jesus.
It's facts about the movies and the tornadoes, and yeah, well, you'll see.
Yeah.
But it's all fun. All he had to do, the father, was to go sit with his wife and kid. Like the dude, the door flew
100%.
off.
Yep.
Mom and Joe were fine. Their hair
There
was
wasn't
a
even
messy.
a breeze. There was
No.
barely a breeze hitting
And
them.
then he's just trying to hold on the door. Yeah. But whatever.
I mean, also here's my I don't have a storm cellar, but I mean, if I did, I would probably want like a bar, like a reinforcement bar.
Yeah, not that's just that
to
little
lock that
lock.
in, not that
think it was
loosely
wood.
screwed in.
Yeah.
What I was like, why is this not metal?
Yeah,
What
it's a
is
lock you
going
put on
on
a pantry.
Yes, it was like a very soft. I don't even know if you can call that a deadbolt, but
No.
the little like bolty locks,
Yeah, it's like on those public bathrooms. There's a little slide over.
which we all know suck. So I was like, that's what you use to secure your storms in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're in Tornado Alley. So I was like, dude, you get all the tornadoes.
Yeah.
You're not gonna like secure this?
Yeah, because if you take anything away from this movie or this episode, you versus a tornado, you will lose. In every scenario, you're gonna lose.
Yep.
Holding a door with your little tiny fucking lock. So tragic beginning for Joe.
Yes.
You think it would create some sort of trauma that made her fear tornadoes. No, she channels all of that and decides to chase them. 27 years later, Joe is a tornado-obsessed meteorologist leading a team of storm chasers. Her estranged husband, Bill, an ex-storm chaser turned TV weatherman, travels to Oklahoma with his fiancée, Melissa, to obtain Joe's signature on their divorce papers. Great way to introduce the characters. Great way to learn about the characters and what they're doing. Have everything and everyone explained to an outsider. I thought this was actually brilliant because I didn't notice it before because she's asking all these questions.
Yeah,
They're
she comes into it
explaining
clueless.
everything to her, which was really explaining it to us.
Yeah.
That was really, I didn't realize how smart that was back in 1996.
And no, you don't even notice it in 1996.
No.
But now as an adult, I can also say, wait, you're going to marry this man and you had no idea what he did before you dated? Like he
I thought it was
never,
a metaphor.
yeah. I was like, no. So I was a little concerned. I was like, should you really be marrying him? That was my first doubt that popped into my head about the relationship. I was like, should you really be marrying him? Because this is not a good look.
No.
When you're walking in being like, what do you mean this is what you did? It's like, what? Did he never explain? But it was a great introduction to everybody, and everybody kind of, walked in, told them everything they needed to know, and you got it.
Yeah.
Like it was quick, it was succinct, and it was clear.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
Because it always drives me nuts when even after someone introduces themselves, I hate it when they're like, and there's this mystery. Unless the mystery is integral to the to the plot, there is absolutely no reason to not tell me up front who everybody is and why they're there. That's all I need.
Yes. Yeah, because I don't know shit about tornadoes, and this allowed me to
True
learn
story.
while I watched. Usually I hate learning, but I enjoyed it this time. Joe shows Bill the Realize Dorothy, a device containing hundreds of small weather sensors that he conceptualized. Dorothy could revolutionize tornado research and potentially provide an early storm warning system, but the device must be deployed dangerously close to a tornado to work. So he's all excited about being there and seeing Dorothy, and he decides to go with them for a bit. Doesn't ask his wife it's okay.
I think Joe says, like, give me 24 hours.
Yeah.
Come with us. Like, she's kind of goading him into it.
Yeah. And she's not signing the papers. And he's like,
Yeah.
And that's right, because Melissa's like, did she sign the paper? He's like, no. And then they have to follow them.
Yeah,
Right.
because they're
Okay.
like, well, we're going, so you got to follow us. And it was like,
Yeah.
what? You missed a signature. And it's one of those things where it kind of it drives me bananas because I made a note like right off the top. First of all, my very first note was flying pops. My second note was I'm already super annoyed with Joe. This is when she was still a kid. And then adult Joe, I'm like passive aggressive and snide.
Oh yeah.
She was super. I was like, God, you're being a see you next Tuesday.
That means cunt.
I was trying not to use the word, even though it's
Love
one of my
that.
favorites.
Yeah, I love that word.
But
It
yeah,
really
no,
pisses people off.
she was being super cunty.
Yeah.
She was being super. I was like, girl, you've known that this man is divorcing you. And I think that's also where she finds out that he's engaged, and that's why he's pushing the divorce.
Yeah.
But I'm like, still. So I was like, you have no emotional growth. But yeah, so I was already annoyed with her, and then they all jump into their trucks and get going. And of course, I love whoever decided this, where it's Bill and Joe in the front seat, and then Dr. Melissa in the back seat. And she's sitting in between the two of them as they're driving, chasing this tornado.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, and then she's answering calls from Donald. Is that
Oh yeah,
what is he saying?
her, because she's a psychiatrist.
Roger?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, and she's like, well, tell me what you're feeling. I was like, my therapist doesn't answer my calls.
Joe's team rushes off to chase a developing storm with her failing to sign the papers, forcing Bill and Melissa to fall. Okay, so I got ahead of myself. Jonas Miller, a rival storm chaser and former colleague with corporate funding, stole Bill's idea for his own Dorothy-like device, Dot 3. Jonas plans to deploy Dot 3 first. I think it's just called Dot, and the 3 is supposed to be
just
an E.
called Dot, yeah.
Yeah. Claiming credit for its design. Enraged, Bill agrees to accompany Joe and the team for one day to launch Dorothy. Yeah, I got ahead of myself here.
Okay.
Bill gets mad with that Jonas stole his idea, so he wants Joe and his old team to get Dorothy and one of the Twisters first. As the team pursues a developing tornado, Joe's truck runs into a ditch. Joe and Bill shelter under a bridge, so the tornado destroys a vehicle and one of 4 Dorothy prototypes. So they get a reading of on a potential Twister and take off, with Bill taking off in Joe's truck with Dorothy, and Melissa, the fiance, following in their truck.
Yes.
Now this is the first, other than the opening, which didn't give us a real look at the Twister. So this is the first interaction with a Twister, and I have to say, the lead up, the driving or the chase, the Twister ripping through that farm, awesome.
Yes.
It looks spectacular.
It looked so good.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, like just the effects, because we watched Dante's Peak, and some of the effects were great, some of them were not so great. These Twisters looked awesome.
No, they did. They looked really, really good. And it didn't just look like, like TV news footage. It looked like there was an actual camera and an actual Twister.
Yeah.
And mayhaps the Twister was being directed.
Yeah, it definitely did.
Super good. So I was perfectly happy with this. And it was there were no clear like moments where you're like, oh, this is a green screen, or oh, they had to like jerry rig something. Like it was very much like, oh, this feels like there is an actual tornado.
Yeah, the part where they had to hide under the bridge, the tractor being sucked up. Poor Melissa just seeing the aftermath and being like, holy shit, as Joe's truck dropping in front of her. I'd scream too.
Well, yeah.
And I'd be honest, I'd probably be out of there. Movie's over, because no more explaining shit to me. I'm out. But this trooper, because he wants to use the truck to get another Dorothy up, because they can't use the one, and she's like, okay, I guess so. If you want to help your ex chase more tornadoes. Yeah, she's a trooper. With more storms developing, Bill leads the team in his own truck chasing an F2 tornado. They encounter Jonas's team just as Bill predicts a change in the tornado's path and diverts their course. Now here, Wikipedia, let me see, jumps to Aunt Meg. Okay, so Bill and Joe are right beside each other following this tornado off in the distance.
Yes.
Bill slams on the brake very reckless driving. I
Mm,
mean, you could have
yes.
just slowed down, but why not
But
a
that's a
pile up?
theme in this movie.
Yes. Yeah.
Reckless driving is a theme in this movie.
Yeah. Everyone's reckless driving.
Everybody's reckless.
So the tornado whisperer is like, it's going to go left or jump a fence or whatever he fucking says.
Yeah.
He calls it a sidewinder. Jonas, he continues on.
He follows the science.
Yeah. Then it turns, and this is where we get twin sisters.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. At the time when this came out, it's cheesy now, but in 1996, going to a theater and seeing that cloud fly by was epic. And to be honest, again, it looked pretty good. Like, this was not one of my complaints about the effects. The cow looked like a fucking cow being tossed around the twisters.
No, and it did. And it didn't just look like a picture of a cow coming through. It didn't just look like you know what I mean? Like it didn't like that was a cow
Yeah.
flying through. Was it the greatest and most seamless effect I've ever seen? No. Was it good for 1996? It was fantastic for 1996. Was it good for 2024? Yeah, it's still good for 2024.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad.
This was still funny, and my kids loved it.
Of course.
And I'm looking at it like, stupid cow.
But I mean, it is also because cows are fucking huge and they're heavy.
Yeah.
So it's a nice introduction to really be like, yeah, man, it'll pick up an entire cow and toss it around, which adds to the fear of tornadoes.
Yeah, because I can't express. I know the story isn't perfect, but effects are different. Like Star Wars, Godzilla, Independence Day in the 90s, awesome. Or at the very least, if you hated them, the effects were awesome. Realistic movies' effects are very different. Sci-fi, we automatically suspend our disbelief to a point.
Yes.
I'm talking to you, Leprechaun in Space, and every straight-to-video sci-fi movie released in the 90s. But you had that suspension of belief. Realistic or movies based in actual reality were a lot different, and you expected a lot more. Like, if it looked bad, you could still have fun, but it wasn't the same. It took you out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone had seen a movie like this before in the 90s, where the effects still hold up today. In 1996, it was just, like I said, I went to the theater, and I as I watched it, I remembered how jaw-dropping it was.
Yeah.
And again, the two twisters riding the water, the cow. I will say, in one shot, you saw a car pass them that looked kind of implausible and wasn't supposed to be there. But yeah, no, I was really, as much as I hated when there was no twisters, when the twisters were on, I can't say this enough, it was great.
No, it was. And it definitely still holds up. Like, obviously, it's not so seamless and you're not feeling like you're in it.
No.
But it's good. It's super good. And it still holds up to this day. And that's important to remember. Because if it holds up now, that means it was revolutionary back then.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They get caught trying to escape these twisters. The truck gets spun around, and Joe and Bill come in their pants with delight as Melissa's like, the fuck is going on? Because they're really excited about because we got to get, and they're like all worried, and then they get out and they're like, oh my God, that was awesome. And Melissa's like, the fuck it was. Then the team visits Joe's Aunt Meg in nearby Wichita?
Wichita? No.
Wichita? Wichita.
How was it spelled?
Wakita.
Yeah, Wichita.
Wichita, okay. For rest and food. The team then scrambles to chase a developing twister. So here we also get more stories about Bill and Joe and the team, and more information about the twisters.
You see the relationship Aunt Meg has with everybody.
Yeah.
Which is great because it sets up what happens later. And it gives you, everybody treats her almost like a maternal figure. And it's very much like this is their home, away from home. So it's a great scene to kind of establish, like, yes, we are all close knit. We are all very, like, we're a family here, which kind of, even still, Melissa's still super outsider. Like, she's hearing the story. Somebody plops a steak on her plate, the size of 3/4 of the plate. And I'm like, damn, is that what we're having? Because I'm into it. Yeah. And then I think it was Philip Seymour Hoffman just starts loading up her plate.
Oh, yeah.
Food.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you got to have this. You got to have this. And I was like, oh, God, he's a Portuguese woman. Amazing.
Joe and Bill intercept an F3 tornado with unpredictable movements. We get the team joining Jonas in the hunt after like they emerge from that shortcut out of the cornfield.
Yes.
That was good. And I wonder if it's weird because we can relate to it because I do remember before cell phones, which is kind of cool because you kind of get both sides of it. I'm wondering if someone who has no idea what's like without why don't they just like go on their tablet? Why don't they just go on
Because
Google
that
Maps?
wasn't a thing.
No, and they had
That
piles of
wasn't a
maps.
thing. My first cell phone I got in 1999.
Yeah, flip or one with a big antenna on it.
It was a Nokia, the little red Nokia. It was amazing. It was pay as you go. And you could make phone calls and you could text if you had the patience. Like
Yeah.
that was it. So now we're all holding a computer in our hands with our
Oh, yeah.
smartphones.
Yeah.
And so now I don't think people realize, or like the younger people who've always had, so it's like, especially the kids who have always had smartphones, like this was what they did. They were lucky if they got a satellite link. They were lucky if they got that, because there was no like mobile hotspots.
No.
Internet was barely a thing at that point.
Well, their map guy, because he had all the maps, took them through a cornfield, and they're like, "Where's the road, Rabbit? Where's the friggin' road?" He's like, "It's coming. It's there somewhere." And then they hit it. Where are we here? Yeah, because they turn again, and Jonas still doesn't follow them. You think he'd figure this one out? So this F3 tornado, it knocks over power lines and it crushes Dorothy too. With the truck damage, Bill forces them to retreat, but Joe undergoes an emotional breakdown over the failure and unloads about her motivations and her father's death. Bill admits to his feelings for Joe, unaware that Melissa is overhearing them through the CB radio. Okay, so Wikipedia, thanks a lot. You're really just concentrating on the story and ignoring all of tornado shit. Okay, so the hail starts coming down. Bill's trying to get Dorothy ready. The Twister's just eating everything in its path. It's barreling down. It looks good. Lots of tension. I will say this.
Yeah.
Some of the reviewers are right. Joe and Bill, like driving towards all these tornadoes, not a lot of scratches.
Yeah.
Not a lot of bumps and bruises.
No bumps, no bruises. Remarkably clean.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The worst is they needed a shower after one. Yeah, they held up very well. Dorothy gets knocked over. And all the little doohickeys spill out everywhere. Joe cries.
Sensors.
Yeah, she tries to pick them up and she's crying and yeah.
And Bill's all like, "Hey, could we not die?
Yeah, let's not die.
Let's not die. Leave the sensors. Let's not die.
We got
Joe's
two
like,
more of these things.
Get the sensors. I don't care if I die. Get the sensors." And he's like, maybe we don't die." And then they have a big emotional like where she unloads, he unloads.
Yeah.
And basically we learn that he had to walk away because her obsession was too much. Like he was into the tornadoes, but this was this was a microcosm of their entire relationship where she's like, "Let's die, but save the sensors." And he's like, "Let's not die.
Yeah.
Fuck the sensors." And that was their marriage in a nutshell. And then poor Melissa has to hear all of this over the CB radio.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because apparently nobody wants to turn shit off. I'm just saying.
The team overnights in Fairview to repair their vehicles. While there, Joe signs the papers, and a nocturnal F4 wedge tornado forces the team and others into a garage pit near a drive-in theater for protection. Again, this was great. The Twister rips through the drive-in screen. Awesome.
Yes.
Like I said, some of the practical effects here look like stunts. I get it. You don't want to throw a 10-ton drive-in sign at a bunch of extras and Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt stand-ins. Like, heads up, you fucking peons. They died for their art.
It's terrible.
They died for your enjoyment. But all in all, whenever the tornado's on the screen, for everyone listening, awesome. It's awesome. It's all awesome.
The tornadoes were always great.
Yeah. And it makes you go, stop talking, go chase a fucking tornado.
Go chase a fucking tornado. Nobody cares about your trauma. God.
Yeah. The tornado destroys the garage and 2 team vehicles and injures several people before proceeding towards Wakita. Before the team rushed there, Melissa ends her and Bill's relationship, encouraging him to reunite with Joe. Well, it's about time, honey. You don't need that douche.
She is the only emotionally mature one in this entire group.
Yeah.
Because she straight up was like, maybe I don't marry the man who's still in love with his ex.
Yeah. And chases tornadoes.
And chases tornadoes and doesn't have a problem with just dragging me along. Didn't even ask.
Yeah. Didn't
Just
ask.
Was just like, we're just going to go with them. Excuse me? So she
Yeah, it's
breaks
not
it
like-
off. But then she says something where I was like, oh, girl, you were settling for him too. Because she's like, I'm not even that hurt about this. I
Yeah.
should be sad. I'm not sad. And I was like, oh, look at you having an aha moment.
Yeah.
Okay, girl, go get out of Tornado Alley. Let
Yeah.
this man chase his tornadoes with his ex-wife, who
Yeah,
I guess now is not an ex-wife because she signed the papers, but they haven't filed them yet.
They haven't filed them yet.
Yeah.
No, she is a smart, beautiful woman. She can go find herself a billionaire and own an NBA team.
100%. Yeah.
For those listening, Jamie Gertz is the owner of the Atlanta Hawks because her
Yeah.
husband is worth like 10 or 12 billion dollars. I'm sure she contributed. She was like, look, honey, I did this Twister movie. Here's my check. You put that with the rest of the billions.
Yeah. If I'm no, because I think it's so the bulk of Jamie Gertz's net worth stems from her and her husband's investments and business ventures. Jamie's husband, Tony Ressler, is a notable figure in the finance world, and together they've made substantial investments. So she took all of her Hollywood money and she's like, babe, let's invest. And he was like, babe, let's do this. And now they're billionaires and own
Wasn't-
professional teams.
Wasn't he a billionaire before they met?
Probably, but now she's
But
a billionaire too.
I'm,
But you've
I'm-
heard about billionaires who end up losing their billions because they keep giving their wives stupid shit.
Well, I'm surprised she doesn't or didn't like go, I want to make a movie and take her $20 million allowance or whatever she and star in, direct in, produce it, or did she? Because she's still acting, isn't she?
I think she is, but not as much. But apparently her individual net worth is $3 billion.
Oh. So she
Yeah,
just
right?
so she does if she's acting, she just because she likes it.
She's acting because she likes it.
Yeah. Going home every night in a private helicopter to her $50 million house.
I mean, if you can, why
Yeah.
wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like if I married what's her name? The heir to the Walmart, the heiress, Alice.
Yeah.
Alice Walmart.
Uh,
I don't know what her last name is. Or Julie Kosh or Jeff Bezos' ex, Mackenzie Scott. I'd be doing real stupid shit with our money.
It's funny though, because sometimes the Powerball gets up to the billions, right? So I'm planning on winning a couple $1 billion. And then I probably still won't do stupid shit, but I will be traveling a lot, first class, private planes. I'm just
Oh.
saying.
Billions, I would do the stupidest of shit.
I know you would.
I would become like a James Bond villain. Not the brightest one, but I cause some problems.
I would not do really. I'd be one of those like, oh, she's rich. How can you tell? She's wearing track pants from H&M
Yeah.
that she paid $17.99 for.
Yeah. Yeah, she don't give a fuck.
She doesn't give a fuck.
The town's storm sirens provide little warning time ahead of the tornado, which leaves Wakita in ruins and finance Meg's house. And they alluded to this earlier, while again explaining to Melissa that they get like what 3 minutes? 3 minutes?
Yeah, 3
yeah.
minutes, and they were hoping that the information that they get from the sensors could actually give people 15 minutes
Right.
to warn them. And they're like, that gives you enough time to get to shelter
Yeah.
and to get to safety. 3 minutes, you're lucky if you make it down the stairs.
Yeah. And the house was just fucked up, like ripped in half all the place.
That house was incredible.
And
The
they
way-
were,
broken down house.
yeah. And they were risking a lot for an ant. Just saying. Bill wasn't even related.
Maternal figure who feeds you
Ugh.
14-ounce ribeye steaks for shits and giggles. I'm saving that woman. Do I get to eat the steak? Fantastic. I'm going to crawl into this broken down house where it's literally falling. It's literally falling. I'm going to crawl in there and I'm going to get you out. Because you're making me steak. I want
Yeah.
steak.
I'd probably go looking for the steak. The
That's
team,
gonna be right
however, rescues Aunt Meg. The National Severe Storms Laboratory forecasts that a potentially record-breaking tornado will form the next day. Inspired by Aunt Meg's wind vane sculptures, Bill and Joe add aluminum wings to the last two Dorothy prototype sensors, making them more aerodynamic. Okay, I didn't say anything until now. The Dorothy chips or whatever they are,
The
not very
sensors.
not very aerodynamic. It was pretty blatant. Like Jonas's, those square ones. I'm like,
Those look
dude.
ridiculous.
Yeah, even back then, I think I was like, they're not gonna fucking fly.
Well, I
Like
knew they would get
consultant
picked up.
engineer.
They look
Yeah, they would
heavy,
get
though.
picked up. Yeah, like consultant engineer or a airplane
Yeah.
pilot. I'm not sure what you would call them, or a kid that plays with model airplanes, like somebody. True to the forecast, a mile-wide F5 tornado forms the next day, and the team pursues it. Bill and Joe attempt to place Dorothy 3 in its path. However, the device is knocked over and destroyed by the airborne tree. Meanwhile, Jonas attempts to deploy Dot, ignoring Bill and Joe's warnings that the tornado is changing direction and headed straight at them. The tornado sweeps Jonas' truck away, killing him and his driver. This was great.
I loved it, and I may have cheered because Jonas was just such a dick. I was like, I mean, very fitting, but I kind of wanted to see the body.
Yeah,
I'm like,
Like-
show me the crashed van.
the giant tornado, that TV tower thing,
Yeah,
right into the truck, and then you just see it getting swept away, and you
I
see it
would-
explode.
yeah, but I'm like, I want to see debris.
Yeah,
Show me
like
an arm.
some legs and arms
Because
being.
the guy was like, and also he stole their idea. And that makes
Yeah.
me super ragey. And he was all like, I don't know what you're talking about. I came up with this myself. And I'm like, oh, you dick. So
Now-
mad.
The size of this thing was epic. So I looked it up. The largest ever recorded was an F6. It was later downgraded, but
Mhm.
it was over 2 miles. It was like 2.6 or something like that in width. And it was well over like 320 miles per hour.
Holy shit.
So this, not out of the realm of possibility. There have been bigger ones, which
Yeah.
is fucking horrifying. That's fucking huge.
That's ginormous. Can you?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I could never. See, tornadoes are fucking scary.
Yeah, and totally unpredictable.
Right?
And then the thing ripping through the tractor store. I don't know
Mm.
if that's what they're called. Tractors are us. I don't know. Combines are being sucked up and spit out. They have to dodge them while they're falling out of the sky. It was a good scene. Again, the tornado was a star of this show.
Yeah.
With the last remaining Dorothy affixed to the truck bed, Bill and Joe drive directly at the tornado, then jump out, sacrificing Bill's truck to ensure that Dorothy 4 can release its probes into the wedge. Then they have to run like fuck to get away from it, almost like the beginning of the movie
Yes.
when little Joe ran from a giant tornado on her family farm. Scary coincidence? Doesn't matter. It looked great. I did love them going into the barn with every piece of farm equipment with a sharp end.
Yes.
Just hanging from the ceiling. And he's like, I don't think so. Also, when they got to the barn, the wood and steel and the corn stalks being whipped around and the fence
Yeah.
posts hitting those barn doors like darts. Again, miraculously, Bill and Joe, not a scratch.
Of course. Of course.
Don't
It's
think
the
about it too much,
magic.
people. Yeah.
The magic of love in tornadoes. That's what it is.
Yeah. Like little rainbows spouting out of their.
They loved each other so much.
Yeah, it's gross. They make it to a well in its own little building. It looked like an outhouse. That would have sucked.
That's a pump house, my friend.
Yes, a pump house.
Yes.
Would have been funnier if it was an outhouse, and the only way they could survive is they had to get in to let the tornado pass.
Don't even joke about that, yo.
Oh,
Don't even
that'd be
joke.
gross.
That's
Ugh.
disgusting.
But they get in, put their belts around the pipe. That was some strong American-made installed pipe.
I'm pretty impressed. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. I'm very
That-
impressed with that.
That wasn't ordered off of Amazon. That was
100% no. That
yeah,
was probably made with American steel. Okay.
yeah, and bought at Middle America, Home Depot. Yeah.
No, not the local
Or
grain and feed
Trade
store.
and save. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, no scratch. Like they fared very well considering what they went through over the last couple of days in this fucking movie.
Honestly, I'm super impressed. I
Yeah.
am super impressed that they made it through. This was the magic of like 90s filmmaking
Yeah.
at its finest. For reals. where all they do is they get a little dusty. Just a little.
Yeah.
Their teeth are totally fine. No dust in
Yeah.
their mouth.
No. Oh, yeah.
Their-
The teeth.
Their
great,
eyes are clear.
bright whites.
Their face and hair and clothes have a little layer of dust.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Oh, I did get ahead of myself here. Okay. The gamble is successful as Dorothy Ford's probes provide immediate scientific data, but without their truck, Joe and Bill are forced to run as the tornado shifts towards them. Inside a nearby pump house, they strap themselves to deep pipes. As the buildings rips away, the F5's core passes over them. After the tornado dissipates, the team celebrate their success and Joe and Bill reconcile. And that is our movie.
But can we also point out that on this farm in the pump house where they're waiting after everything passes, they're still there holding onto the pipes and they're like, oh geez. And then out of the storm cellar comes a mom, dad, and a kid or two
Oh, yeah,
kids.
right. Yep.
Yeah. So like a family comes out of the storm cellar. Look at that. Someone survived. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. Bookend.
Yeah, they should have looked for a fucking storm cellar, not a. And even if they weren't said, no, you can't come in, it's just a little tiny log. You could have just forced
Busted
your
it
way
open.
into it.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
What is your score?
This is a rent it for me. Now, here's why. I remember it having more of a disaster movie vibe than it actually does. It does really feel like a rom-com with tornadoes. And I didn't even find it that funny, so really it was more just romance with tornadoes. Helen Hunt's character, Dr. Joe, drove me nuts. Bill kind of drove me nuts too, because I was like, sir, you're like, find your way. You seem very lost. Dr. Melissa was my favorite. I love her so much. The entire cast was really good. But the two leads got on my nerves. So I'm like, oh, and there was so much of them. Like the majority of the movie was just them. So it's hard to get away from that, especially if you're annoyed. But overall, it's still a fun disaster movie. The effects still hold up after all this time. And I mean, it's still a good time. It just wasn't a great time. So I'm down. It's worth a rental. And then if you really like it, by all means, buy it. I did not love it now. So am I going to buy it? No. But I mean, it was a fun 2 hours. And the tornadoes look great. What's your rating?
My score. I really enjoyed this movie. This is a summer blockbuster, a true summer blockbuster. Not a lot of thought needed. The effects still hold up for the most part. There are a couple of times where you could tell it was digital, but for a movie that was done back in '96, well done. Bill Paxton was great, I thought. I liked Philip Seymour Hoffman and Jamie Curtis. I'm not a Helen Hunt fan at the best of times, and I agree with you. Her character is a little annoying, a little kind of... Yeah. Cary Elwes, I kind of wish I saw more of him. He was a douche, but I wish we saw more of him. And it has a string of people that you'd be like, I know him, I know her, I know that guy, I know them. The story is simple. The dialogue, while suggested by some reviewers, leaning more towards the absurd. I didn't think it was that bad. There's just too much of it. Look, this is a popcorn movie. Big screen TV, surround sound, or soundbar cranked. At least until your wife's screaming at you and asking for death.
I have a feeling that happened for you.
It did. It looked good. It was loud. Destruction looked great. The effects great. Practical effects great. Some minor annoyances. Example, the drive-in sign at some obvious digital, but nothing that ruined the experience. It's a great summer movie. If you got a projector for outside or a family room, like I said, crank that thing up. It's a fun movie about tornadoes. No, it doesn't have sharks in them, but that's okay. My 6-year-old loved. I don't know why she loved this movie. And the rest of my kids loved it too. Buy it. I bought it. I'm glad I did. Although now Twisters is out.
Did you get a chance to watch Twisters?
No, I didn't. But now that Twisters is out, Twister is like on 3 different streamers. But I'm glad I have it now. I'll watch it again, probably next summer. And I'll probably watch it as a double feature with Twisters. I mean, I'll watch Twisters as soon as I can. But I have a feeling it's good. And You can let me know in a minute. But yeah, I say buy it. I bought it. So I did get it on sale, but I liked it. I really liked it.
I think this is it's a good movie, and for some people it's a great movie. Regardless, it's a fun 2 hours.
Yeah, whether you rent it,
Whether you rent it, whether you buy it, whether
stream it.
you stream it, it's a fun 2 hours. You will not regret watching it. I just didn't love it. I
Yeah.
liked it, didn't love it. But I mean, it's a classic. If for nothing else, watch it for the tornadoes and rolling your eyes at these two dysfunctional adults who can't fucking figure out how to have a proper conversation.
And
I'm gonna stop raving.
next week is August, which that starts our drive-in, our month-long drive-in. And our first one, I believe, is The Sandlot and River Wild. I think that's the first one. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's next Friday.
Which is funny because I had forgotten River Wild existed until you mentioned it. And I was like, wait, I've seen that movie.
I remember really liking that movie, and I have
Me
not seen it
too.
in a long time.
I don't think I've seen it since probably
The
a few years
90s.
after it came out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was the 90s. I might have seen like a clip of it in the 2000s when it was on TV one time. But I don't that's literally the last time I saw it. Forgot it even existed. And I'm excited to watch The Sandlot again because I don't think I've seen that since
It's been a while.
very early 2000s.
At least, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you going back to 1996 to check out Twister. We have a rent it and a buy it. So overall, pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And until the next movie we remember liking.
Congratulations. You just had one of your childhood movie memories vindicated. Or they just eviscerated it. I don't know. This is a generic one-size-fits-all type of ending to the podcast. So thank you for listening, and please join Anna and Jimmy next time for another episode of the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. If you dare to go back and watch that movie you remember liking,